From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Calling in from Mexico, looking for Ben Dawson. Ben Dawson, Ben Dawson.
You got him. What's up?
Woohoo! Ladies.
What's up? Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hi. Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay. We have a listener submitted question for Dominating with Dawson.
That's cool.
Let's call the listener Ron Mexico.
Oh, Ron Mexico again.
I love
What is this guy? Ron's awesome.
The only thing we can count on from Ron Mexico is questions for Dominating with Dawson and somehow his underwear ending up on a flagpole. But this question...
And him let me drive his race cars.
That's
the third thing I can pretty much count on. That guy's going to let me drive his race cars.
That's right. That's right. Maybe he thinks that the flagpole is a race bar. Anyway, Ron Mexico was asking, what are your guys' thoughts on getting advanced in HPDEs too quickly? Most people would think that as they progress, it's a good thing, right? They're getting better, but what if you're going too quickly?
Well, I happen to know Ron's doing a lot of HPD instructing himself right now. So, I mean, I can see why he might be in the mindset of thinking about that topic. Is that something that you all have ever seen happen where you think somebody got promoted before it was time? What was this situation like when you have ever seen that?
I've seen cars get promoted ahead of the driver.
Okay. Talk more about that. Like,
I've seen that.
Interesting. I'm not sure I can say I've seen it, but I want to hear what you're talking about. I'm sure I have that. Once you describe it, I'm like, oh yeah.
So
GTR driver.
So naturally, you've got certain cars that are definitely faster than other cars. You've got the high horsepower, high grip. Let's say the GTRs, the racing prepped Corvette, the supercars, the expensive, very high performance cars, especially as the recent increases in power have become predominant, and a 200 or 300 horsepower car is now slow. Slow in quotes, by the way. You see some people who go from HPD 1 to HPD 2 to usually maybe HPD 3, mostly due to their car, and they're not really that good. It's just their car is really fast on a straightaway. And I'm not saying this for all organizations, and I'm not saying this happens a lot, but I've seen it. The car got promoted more than the driver, and it's a problem because, well, I'll get into the problems later. But go on. In my mind,
it sounds like you'd be unsafe.
Yeah, well, you get yourself into more trouble, I think. What about you, ladies? Have you seen this?
I have.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thanks for going into that level of detail.
I've seen people show up in a version of a Lamborghini or a Maserati or some other high-powered car, and I guess they just feel like they should be bumped up a little bit, and probably just because of the sheer power of the car, versus
also, like, I spent all this money.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I guess, in their mind, it's like, I paid all this money for this car. I don't want to see what it can do.
I don't. Yeah.
Also, they get stuck in a group where they can't really open it up either. A lot of times,
right? Exactly. So I mean,
not anybody's problem.
Well, I mean, I remember we were at,
but it's not safe. It's not safe.
No, especially with that kind of car. No, we were kind of having a discussion about cars in general today with a friend, and the person that's going to be driving a particular car is a very high powered car, but the gentleman has limited experience. And I said, the best thing this person could do is, either take some track days and get to know the car easily, but, having experience in a car that's really, really powerful, you certainly want to have some kind of basic training in it, or go through some steps to get to know the track. Yeah, I know in my own personal experience that I personally want to be absolutely sure of my skill set before I advance, because I feel like if I advance too quickly, then I'm going to end up wrecking my car, or I feel like I have cheapened the experience. Like I feel like a fraud if I go in and I don't really know my big basics.
Well, also, if you go into a more advanced group and you don't actually have the skill, then eventually you're going to tell on yourself within the group, right?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
your actions on track are eventually going to out you as somebody who maybe doesn't have enough experience, and you might end up doing a lot of your learnings in the classroom sessions where it's just people bitching about you. You know what I mean? You get picked up on stuff during the bitch session. I've seen that happen with folks. I mean, specifically like a GTR driver at Thunderhill one time came into the debrief session or whatever, just complaining that nobody would let him by, and they just kicked him right out. They're like, "All right, you're done for the day."
He just wasn't ready.
Yeah, this was Hooked on Driving, where they got people watching you at every corner. So if you're messing up, somebody calling in, like they're not talking about the corner workers. They got somebody from the organization who can see every corner and is watching everybody. So you can't really step out there and be too much of a jerk. But yeah, I mean, I can think of ways where jumping into a more advanced group before you're ready could be dangerous for yourself and for the other folks who are your other constituents on track, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's turn this around. So instead of being the one that comes to mind for me is we were at NJMP with an organization who shall remain nameless. And there was a guy at his first track day ever, Saturday morning, bright and early. And he's in HPDE 2 in his brand new, at the time, Porsche 918.
So hold on. You said it's his first ever track day and he's already in the second group, right?
Yeah. Well, he's in a Porsche 918.
Oh my gosh.
This is the year that the LaFerrari came out.
Oh man.
And he's got the Porsche 918. And let me remind Vicki, because I think she saw him as well. Could not have been more than 18.
Oh, I remember that. He was just a kid.
An 18-year-old kid doing with the 918. Like, how did Porsche even let him out the door with that car?
I don't think they let him out the door with the 918.
His dad out the door with that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Still, I feel like there's a way Porsche can get Captain from going out there with that.
Don't make our car look that bad on the track. It is much faster than you.
Like, Porsche, stop this, please.
Okay, so let's take this from the other perspective. Instead, I think we all agree that getting advanced through HPDEs is too quickly, and too quickly is a problem. So let's talk about what we should do at an HPDE. And I'm going to start. I think you should always strive to make no changes to your car until you are able to overdrive what the car is capable of. And
I agree with that.
That's
Don't
not
change it
going to
till
be,
you need it.
Yeah, not going to be HPD 1 or 2. Probably not even 3. You can drive a standard normal car, and you're not able to fully get everything out of it until at least HPD 3.
Can you repeat that, please, Bill? Repeat that. Repeat it.
Don't mess with your car. Change the brake pads, fine. Change the brake fluid, super.
Better tires?
Maybe do tires, but not slicks. We're not talking slicks here, people. We're talking decent tires.
I'm saying learning setup stuff. 3 is a good time to start learning how to set your car up a little bit. Nothing crazy, but learning.
But by the time you get 3, you actually get to feel the car, so you get to get a little bit more knowledge about the car too.
Don't worry about your slap-on turbo. Don't worry about your 75-inch wide wing. Don't worry. Just go drive your car. You don't know what you're doing yet. You don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what you need.
And you don't know what you don't know, which is also dangerous.
Yeah. The only thing you're gonna be doing is wasting money because it could all be wrong.
But car people, track people also love to waste money, so don't kink shame, okay?
That's true. That's true. And I think the I can't remember if it was Jeff or Chris. It might have been Chrissy. I don't remember. One of the Three Pedal Mafia friends from Everyone Racers podcast, an excellent podcast. They said, especially with NASA Great Lakes, because they give really good instruction, stay in HPDE 1 for as long as you can stand it. As long as it's not driving you crazy, either sitting through the classroom every single time, which the classroom is fantastic, but 20 times in, it's okay, moving on. Or when the drivers are just slowing you down so much because you get so much out of it because you've got a right seat instructor 100% of the time. You've got really
or
good
you have a classroom
instruction 100% of the time. It's fantastic. Don't be focused on, I need to be a race driver. I need to get into my comp school. I need to start racing wheel to wheel. Focus on becoming the better driver, best driver that you can.
When you're in HPDE, realize that it's a journey and it's not a race to get the fastest in and fastest out. Just take the steps, look at it like a school, and just enjoy the process and get everything out of it that you possibly can.
Well, if only we had somebody whose this segment was named after. Ben, would you like to talk on your own segment?
There you go.
No, I mean, I've been absorbing what you guys are saying. Also, what was the upshot with the kid with the 918? Did he wall it or did he have a good time?
We're gonna hear
neither.
That?
Are we gonna
neither? Okay. No dramatic. I think he went on track twice for the weekend.
I got you.
Which is disappointing. I mean, you know what people would do? I mean, just about everybody, 99.99 or 99 and 44/100% of all the people in the world would kill to be in that car and never give up a second of driving in that car. And he went out twice.
That's crazy. I don't think I have a whole lot more to say about getting promoted too early. I don't guess I've seen it happen too much, except for just a few times where it's been like some kind of good old boy stuff where I could tell somebody was tight with the people running the club and have maybe seen people get ushered through sooner than I would have done it. But I mean, never to a degree where it was dangerous. And also, one thing to point out that I haven't heard said yet is that we're still talking about a DE environment and getting promoted too early. So we're talking about, yes, you're out there driving your car. There might be people in your group going 160 down the straightaway. But overall, compared to Lemons traffic, it's extremely well regulated and controlled with point buys and that sort of thing. Even in the advanced group, most places you still have to do point buy passing. And there should never be even a whiff or a hint of the danger of there being car-to-car contact at a DE, right?
Correct.
For sure.
I mean, unless there's a mechanical failure, you shouldn't be laying your fender up on anybody else. So,
right.
Yeah,
it's not so much car-to-car contact as in car-to-wall contact has happened.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, the danger of being promoted too early is that likely you might end up chasing somebody going buying Black Betty and you're not ready for it. And you might stuff yourself down into
he went there.
Right here. Is that a call? Is that a callback or were we talking about?
That's a callback to a Ben Dawson episode.
That's right.
That's
well played.
Dominate with Dawson. But it's so I think the biggest risk is that you're likely to end up overstepping what you think in a group that's too high for you. But I mean, ultimately, you're probably not that big a danger to the other folks around you since it's a DE, unless you go to the brakes way too late and end up sliding through another car or something like that. But even still, I mean, DE traffic is nothing like
No, they don't have enough people on track to really create issues.
But the average speed of an HPDE 1 group versus the average speed of an HPDE 2 and 3 is very different. So you're going to have the potential impacts when you're still trying to figure it out and you're still new. Because I think it's a bigger deal when you get promoted from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 really too fast. It's not a big deal if you get promoted from 3 to 4. So you're going to have a bigger kinetic energy impact for the same size error. So you might as well be doing it when you're slower.
I agree with that. I guess when we started talking about this and I started thinking about it being dangerous, I was more thinking about it being dangerous to other people than the person who got promoted up too early. But also, I think that's just a natural anti-projection for me, since I'm never thinking about my own level of danger. So I never think about the point of view person's
and living dangerously all the time.
No, I'm just living dumb. I'm just an all day dumb. But yeah, that's a good point too. Is that your level of speed increases, so does the magnitude of what you're going to run up into. And I mean, I had to talk to students about that sometimes too. When we're going from, if I'm in a car with a novice or an intermediate driver, and if I'm doing my job right at the beginning of the weekend, we're doing one thing. By the end of the weekend, we're driving faster down the straightaway and deeper into the turns. And so that requires us adjusting to that, but we have to do it in a measured way. If somebody went from DE1 where they had an instructor maybe once or twice to DE3 where they're just trying what they see other people trying without the technical knowledge to pull it off, without having, somebody into your right seat, even as an intermediate, going, all right, I see what you're doing. Let's try it, but it's going to take this because we did this. Like, there's a few things where you have to describe the logical steps of the adjustments you're making, and it might not be obvious without somebody explaining it to you. Like, yeah, we came off that corner onto the start-finish straight a lot faster than we have been. So since we did that, we're going to need to brake. We were braking down at the 1 because we were going, school bus speed. And now we're going New York taxi cab speed, so we're going to need to brake a little sooner. You know what I mean? So you're right. That's a good point about the potential kinetics of just being in a faster group and being sort of allowed to go that much faster by traffic. Is that you're going to have a bigger wreck.
So this brings me to, I think this might end it, but I don't know. So this is another aspect of high performance driving and racing where you really need to minimize your ego. Like, your self-worth or your ego or your stroking of your ego is not dependent on which HPDE group you're in. It's not dependent on your track time. It's not dependent on your lap time. It's not dependent on.
Nobody really cares.
Nobody knows.
Nobody cares what level that you're in. Yeah. None.
No, not even at a race. Nobody cares. At an endurance race, here's the secret to people who haven't done one. When you go do an endurance race and you jump in the car for your 2 hours, nobody's standing there watching you do it the whole time. They all went to take a dump and get a sandwich and get gas. Like, it's just,
there's no solicitors or anybody in the stands. There's
nobody cares how you're doing except the people who have to drive after you.
That's right. They want to know what time you're going to be in. That's it.
Yeah.
And I would even take it one step further, even at an endurance race. At least the races that we've been in, as you get to higher levels, I think it starts to become more true. But at the level that we're at, or the races that we're at, and the series that we're at, it's very rare that the car with the fastest lap time wins.
Yep.
And why is that, Bill?
Because they don't finish.
God, let me just tell you one thing to completely confirm what you're saying. Have you ever heard of Riley and Scott race cars?
No.
Somebody just talked about it about a second ago.
Okay.
Very famous builders in IMSA over the decades. Bob Scott was the dad. Now it's, I'm sorry, Bob. Right? Anyway, yes. So it's Riley. The Rileys are the ones still doing it. But it used to be Riley and Scott. But there's still a guy named Bill Riley who does these cars, builds these GT3 cars that go race in Europe and all over the world and in IMSA here. Very famous guy, extremely famous guy. I've been next to him in the pits at champ car races a couple of times, and they will bring a car that is just like wipes out the field on lap time. But it's also usually so extreme, such an extreme build within whatever the champ car rules are, that it never lasts. Like, so he'll come out with a car that clears the field by a few seconds as far as fastest lap. But so I always notice how they're doing. If I look at like a race monitor early on in the race, like, oh man, Riley brought one out. He's just wearing them out. Look back a half hour later, they're just dropping down, sitting in the pits the rest of the weekend. Something catastrophic will fail. I've seen it in person, and I see it all the time.
There's another warning against fast laps is that usually at the end of the day of an HPDE, the one thing that they'll tell you is that this is your last stint on track. We're not coming back into the classroom. You're going to go out and just pretty much know what you know, learn what you know, run what you learned, and then you're just going to basically, put your cars away. But they said, be very careful of your end of the day. Everybody wants to get their fast lap in. You're all pumped with adrenaline. You realize it's the end of the day, so you're going to get the most out of it. And that's when you're going to end up with the most problems with your car.
But Vicki,
nobody knows how to back it off.
Yes, I did do the toe of shame because I had that happen to me and I didn't listen. And I was full of adrenaline.
But Vicki, that's when the scouts come looking for the best drivers at the end of the day.
The F1 scouts.
Yes.
They drink all day and then they show up at the end of the day to pick somebody.
At the very end of the day. No, I was trying to exercise everything that I learned. I'm not saying that I'm saying, like, from experience, but it is just a known fact that that's what
It
they
is.
warn about.
Plus, you're tired.
Plus you're tired. You are. And
you're stupid. Like if you're there at the track doing the kind of stuff we do, you're already stupid. So put all that together and realize that session is the one where we should back it down a little bit.
Yeah. And for the most part, when you're at HPDE, I think for the most places that they do HPDEs are not tracks that are highly technical. I mean, they have some technicals to them, but there's not a lot of walls where you can hit. So there's the ones that they do have usually have runoff and stuff like that. So I'm not saying there won't be a wall, but the chances of them being something like, one of the NASCAR tracks or something like that, where everything is walled, that's not where they're going to do an HPDE at.
So we have done many things in the history of our team and the history of our podcast. And some of the podcast and some of our team was to show you what to do. Much more often, we're showing you what not to do.
What not to do, right?
But one of the things that I think we've done, and I think, Miss Jen, this is particularly appropriate and applicable to you, is at no point in our HPD career, I don't know if it's a career, we don't make any money, but whatever, in our HPD expenditures, have we ever said to you or pressured any of our drivers to move up. We've said when we think that others are ready, but we've never said, hey, you need to move up this week. It's time, and
you said that to me.
I said, hey, you need to move up. It's time, but I didn't make you do it. So it's just important to realize that it's not how you're judging yourself, and it's definitely not how we judge each other. It's not, well, Vicki's a better driver because she's in HPDE 3, and then Liam, who's in HPDE 2, or Jen's still in HPDE 2, and you go up and you progress as you should, and don't force it.
It is important to just remember we're all dumb. We're all dumb as shit. So just do the best you can and have fun. Like that's the thing that I keep in mind all the time.
And you know what? If you just have fun, then everything will come. It'll all just fall into place if you just really enjoy yourself.
Enjoy the ride.
That's a good point, Bill. I mean, I think if you're with a good group of folks, whether it's your race team or your group of buddies at track events, as long as you're all there enjoying each other and having a good time and you're enjoying what's happening with your car. I've never been in a situation where somebody's like, man, you're not as fast as you ought to be, or whatever. Like that never really comes up. I guess it's not a big deal. Nobody cares how fast you're going, but it is important to be in the appropriate sort of learning cell, right? I mean, we're talking about not getting promoted too soon, so stick with the comfort level, and a lot of times you'll get kicked out of that group. Like if you're getting too good for a group, you'll get kicked out of it. You'll get kind of moved up at the right time. But I think the idea of being driven by like, I have students who be like, I got signed off solo, or hey, when can I get signed off solo? It's like, it's going to be later than it was now, because I don't want somebody who's motivated by just little achievements, little merit badges at the track. I don't think that's healthy.
Yep.
So I guess the lessons learned are take your time.
Yep.
Stay in one as long as you can, because that's where the most education comes from. And that's after that, it just becomes practicing skills and enjoy the journey of the lesson that you're learning. Just have fun.
Live in the moment.
Find people to be around.
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
Miss Vicky's always like, are you excited about this yet? I'm like, no, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm excited like a week out.
I have a certain point where I let myself start getting excited, and it's very close to the race time, because there's so many things that can jump up and screw it up before you're there. So I don't let myself get excited until very close to time.
Especially with our cars.
Now, we've been very good with our cars lately. I can't say that.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye.